Awesome. Great. I'm glad you could see it, Trinity. Good deal. Well, we are starting on time. Welcome back to the monthly Moneymakers Club. Again, it's been a whole month since we have met. Hopefully you guys had a good restful spring break. I certainly did. It was nice not to have to teach classes for that particular week. Even us teachers need a break sometimes. If you can imagine, teaching 130, 140 something students, and yeah, might need a break every once in a while. But I love teaching, but sometimes you just need to let your brains do some mindless things on the couch. So, which is what I did pretty much. I didn't go out of town or anything for spring break. I just stayed here and just relaxed. And well, did some work. Hey, Melody, did some work on the house since my house is still for sale. So hopefully we'll. I do have a showing today, or did have a showing at 11:30. So hopefully there'll be a buyer from that showing. So that's why I always had to vacate the house too. All right. So we got a couple of topics today, and one is banks for college students. The other one is, can you get paid every week? The banks for college students was actually something we hadn't talked about at the club before. And I thought that was pretty interesting. So I did some research for ones that are college student friendly. And I created a handout for that as well. So I thought that was a pretty good suggestion for this month's meeting. So let me go ahead and share. There we go. Now, I prefaced my handout by saying if you want to do banking, period, probably one of the best places to go, and this is for banking in general, whether you're a college student or just a regular adult, credit unions. And credit unions have so many advantages over commercial banks, primarily because of fees and balances. Generally, commercial banks usually have higher minimum balances to open up an account or maintain an account, which sometimes might be a lot of having your money kind of stuck and parked at a bank. So credit unions are much less restrictive, and I pretty much use credit unions as my bank for most of my life, with a couple exceptions, like mortgage. But even then, even my current mortgage was a credit union. The last mortgage I had was a credit union. But when I started with one of my first credit unions with Florida Telco, which became eventually One-to-One Financial, and they just got bought out by ViStar, which would be why I left. Once I voted against that, because you get to vote as a member of a credit union if you're being bought out by another bank, whether or not you want to be bought out by that bank. So I was one of the ones that voted no. Obviously, I got outvoted because ViStar took them over. So I withdrew everything out of my One-to-One Financial before the transition and moved out of ViStar, just because I was afraid that because of ViStar's history with system migration. I mean, I don't know if you remember from a couple of years ago where customers at ViStar had their bank accounts locked for like over a week and they couldn't access their money through ATMs or branches. I mean, their systems were just not great. And then yesterday, I saw a Channel 4 news story where over 2,200 ViStar customers had their credit ratings drop by over 100 points because of a mistake that ViStar made on their mortgages. So what they did was, even though people were paying their mortgage, welcome, there's a sign-in sheet and handout back there for you. Basically, for all those customers at ViStar, and again, I'm sure ViStar is fine. Money's serious to me, obviously. I don't like when things mess with my money. So yeah, I have an inkling, or if there's a probability that someone's not managing people's money correctly, then I would be afraid to bring my business there. So when I saw the news report yesterday that 2,200 customers had their credit scores drop by over 100 points because ViStar did not report that they were paying their mortgage payments on time, which it made their credit reports listed as delinquent payments, even though they were paying their mortgage and all that. One guy actually paid off his mortgage, and ViStar still reported it as delinquent to all the credit bureaus. I go, that is horrible. For one, it takes a while to generate a good credit score. And two, you have to actually work to get it repaired again, even if it wasn't your fault. So I think that really made me wonder why people are still banking. That being said, other credit unions are usually preferable to commercial banks. Maybe not ViStar, but again, that's just from my knowledge of what has been going on with that particular credit union. Local customer service, generally lower rates on personal loans. You may get more competitive rates on your savings. And also, like FDIC with commercial banks, credit unions have the National Credit Union Association, which is the federal agency that protects your accounts as well. So they also have the federal protections of $250,000 per account. So that being said, if you choose a commercial financial institution, not a credit union, then based on some digging I did, here's some credit unions that actually are quite friendly to college students, since that's our first topic today. Chime basically ranked highest overall. That actually is an online financial institution. So it's a mobile bank, but they don't have any maintenance fees, which again, anytime where you don't have to pay fees as a college student is always a good thing. A lot of college students, especially ones that I just talked to, they like mobile banking. They like the fact that you could do your banking with an app or electronically. They offer 2% interest on deposits, which is actually pretty impressive. I mean, I'm getting a fraction of a percent interest on my money market account at my bank, but 2% is great if it is a place to park your money that you're going to use in the next 12 months. 38,000 fee-free ATMs are in Chime's network, easy money transfers. So pros, no fees, built-in tools, compatibility with mobile wallets. The cons, which is a con for any solely online bank, no physical branches, limited mobile check deposit options. So again, pros and cons. I'm not endorsing any of these, so I just want to educate you on the pros and cons of each one. Chime's app is pretty popular with students because I've had some students use it. Mobile check deposit, online bill pay, instant transfers with Pay Anyone, 50,000 free ATMs, two-factor authentication, instant transaction alerts, which are always great for safety. Chase, I don't have a Chase bank account, but I use Chase for 2 of my credit cards. So they have a nice sign-in bonus. So they give you cash when you sign up. So free money's good. Although there's always a catch. You have to have usually you have to have either a minimum balance of a certain amount, which is usually higher than a credit union. Yeah.
So yeah, I recently opened an account with Chase.
Yeah.
The offer was actually $400, so that's what.
It's bigger. Yeah, I've seen the postcard with $400.
Yeah, but they wanted you to average $2,000 a day to a day to opt out.
Oh my goodness.
Fee. Like a $12 monthly fee.
Oh my
I think that's like
that's high
for a student.
Yeah.
That might be interesting.
Yeah. So yes, there are sign bonus, but then the conditions can be pretty stringent. Like one of the conditions, because I signed up for one with First Florida Credit Union for like a couple $100, but the catch was you had to have at least $600 worth of direct deposits going in the account. So I go, that's fine. I'll just put some of my direct deposits from this tool in that bank and then part of it in this bank. And so that way I was there long enough to get the $200. I actually ended up staying there for a few years. I actually closed out my first Florida account, I think just at last fall. So, but I didn't have a problem with it. The problem with it, they just really didn't have to make branches in town. For students ages 17 to 24, and I sign in who make 10 transactions first 2 months, but again, you said the conditions were pretty high. No monthly fees for the first 5 years. And then again, that is a catch with any commercial bank, usually the big banks. We're talking about your Bank of America's, Wells Fargo, Chase. Usually they will impose fees, monthly fees if you don't meet certain minimum things, which is one of the nice parts about credit unions. They don't have those monthly. Matter of fact, both of the credit unions that I signed up for in my life, the minimum savings balance was $5 to keep the account on. So significantly lower threshold. Sign-up bonus, no fees, wide accessibility. Monthly fee after graduation. So do keep that in mind. $5,000 balance, which is pretty high to keep your money hostage to avoid the fees. So again, that's a con. That's a big con for me in the commercial bank because I'd rather have a lot of my money, at least earnings more instead of being stuck there just to avoid fees. Bank of America, another big commercial bank. Good overdraft protection. No overdraft fees. They also offer a bonus for new accounts. Large access to a lot of ATMs and branches since they are a very large commercial bank, so it shouldn't be hard to find a branch. They also have, because again, they're one of the big boys, one of the big commercial banks, monthly maintenance fee unless you're enrolled in some rewards. So again, I don't know anything about preferred rewards, but might be worth it, might not. Let's see. Oh, I forgot about their apps. I also wrote a bit about their apps since apps are so big these days. Chase's app, they have account alerts, quick deposit for mobile check deposits. They have also an app called Zelle for money transfers. Now, I put this specifically in bold print because I've seen on Clark Howard and other personal finance shows, avoid Zelle. If you have a bank that uses Zelle, it is probably one of the most popular apps that are targeted by scammers. And the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which is one of the regulatory arms of our federal government, had a large lawsuit last year, class action lawsuit against the biggest banks, Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, because specifically of Zelle. And the banks do not provide fraud protection if your payment is authorized through that particular app. So like personal finance gurus like Clark Howard basically say avoid Zelle at all costs. Use another peer-to-peer financial or money transfer app. Just don't use that one because it does not have that payment protection. And sadly, a lot of the big banks actually have that integrated. Now, you could turn that off, and a lot of the personal finance guys basically say, yeah, recommend turning that off if it is there and use something else. Wells Fargo has a student account. So big pro, no monthly fees for students ages 17 to 24. Again, they're large commercial banks because they have ATMs everywhere as well. Very well known. No monthly fees, lots of mobile banking options. Limited fee waivers after graduation. So after you graduate, maybe hit with some fees. Again, they offer mobile check deposit, but they also offer Zelle. Again, just be careful if you use Zelle. There are so many peer-to-peer or money change apps or money sending apps out there as an alternative to Zelle, so it shouldn't be hard to find another one. I actually carry cash all the time myself, just specifically for small businesses or especially when I travel abroad, cash is still king. Plus, I can avoid a lot of foreign exchange fees or credit card fees, using cash. Now, I've paid for both goods and services digitally myself, and I tell my students this online as well. But specifically peer-to-peer apps, I try to minimize just because I personally see this app way too easy. So just be really careful with peer-to-peer apps. If I'm paying a business, that's perfectly fine. But then humans can make mistakes as well. So even when they swipe your card, so it's always good just to monitor where the money's coming in and out. Discover has always been great for cashback. They've been known for their cashback deals, and of course, that's also offered to students to up to 3,000 debit card purchases each month, no monthly fees, 60,000 fee-free ATMs in Discover, which is great. No physical branches for Discover though. So unlike the big boys, Wells Fargo and Chase Bank of America, new physical branches. So then Discover Cashback is solely online. Again, they also have a Zelle attachment as well, so integrated. So just be careful with that. Discover is nice. It has security features like card freeze and unfreeze, which is really valuable for fraud protection. They have mobile check deposit, bill pay, and transfers between accounts. So again, very easy to use with Discover Cashback. But again, my main choice, if I had to rank them, again, try your credit unions first, local credit unions, especially if you are a member of the military, like Navy Federal or some other ones. Is Navy Federal good credit? I would say yeah, because Navy Federal has all those low costs or no fee, low minimum deposits as most credit unions would have. And I haven't really heard anything bad about Navy Federal as well. I mean, I haven't served in the military, so I'm not qualified to know, but I've had a lot of students in Navy Federal. So yeah.
CDs for like $50.
See, yeah, very low amounts. I think that's great.
I mean, like once you set up a CD, you have to leave it. Like you can't add money later. So I think.
So they kind of cap it, but with Navy Federal.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
I was gonna say, because you're talking about foreign travel and everything,
Mhm.
and I had recently traveled, and they allow you to use your credit card, without having like any penalty for like foreign fees and transaction fees.
Oh, well, that's big because some commercial banks do charge foreign
Yeah.
transaction fees.
Yeah.
Now, I can actually tell you which one I use, which has been my favorite when I'm travel abroad. That's Schwab. Yes, Schwab banking, and I've seen this with other digital nomads. One of the reasons why, primary reason why I like Schwab and a lot of digital nomads too, and I'll be a digital nomad pretty soon, actually, now 3 months. So, no foreign transaction fees. Also, no matter where you are in the world, they reimburse all of your ATM fees incurred in the month, once a month. So at the end of the month, any ATM fees you've had to pay, regardless of which country you're in, they'll refund those back to you, which is also really nice. So I save on foreign transaction and ATM fees with my Schwab account. And Schwab, unlike a lot of other bank accounts, actually comes with a built-in investment account attached to your checking account. So if you sign up for the checking account, you get an investment account automatically built in. So I'll actually buy, like for more of my conservative investing, I'll like buy stuff there, and if I have dividend income coming in, I can transfer it seamlessly to my checking account, withdraw it with using my Schwab bank account. The catch is you have to open up your Schwab account when you're in the States. You can't open it online unless you are a resident of the US. So I made sure a couple of years ago, I opened it here while I'm still living here. And that way I can use it traveling abroad now that it's established. So that's the catch with the Schwab account. But yeah, it's great. It's not a college student type account, but it's a great all-purpose debit account. So, I use it for an ATM account. I never pay for anything with debit. One, it doesn't benefit me. I don't get any points or anything. And you get better credit card protections using a piece of plastic as a credit card rather than a debit card. So primarily because the credit, I pay for stuff with credit card as much as I can, because I'll get either Amazon points or I'll get Marriott points for either one. Debit card doesn't do me any benefit, and you don't get as much protections as a credit card because someone, I guess, fraudulently gets access to your debit card. They get access to your checking account. It's much harder to get that money back versus, say, someone getting access to your credit card. So.
Did I hear you say Chime operates like a credit union?
No, Chime operates as a solely online bank. Yeah, so they and Discover are the two digital ones that have college student accounts. All right, so that is that topic. And then the other topic for this month, I decided to pick one myself because I thought it was actually, this one is would be kind of cool since this is probably one of my favorite ways to make money while I'm sleeping or playing video games. And that's earning dividends every single week. Now, a lot of the ETFs that I buy literally every week are specifically income generating ETFs. The share price aren't really designed to really grow or explode. They're designed to generate income, which is where my focus is more versus buying stock that is poised to grow in price. So I'll still buy, at least for the past 2 months, I've been buying shares of Meta and Netflix because I think they'll grow at a faster rate than the ones I had been buying the last 3 years, which was Alphabet, aka Google, and Amazon. I still will own those shares, but I'm trying to grow my Meta and Netflix. I think those are the two big growers for this year. I still buy those each month, but the bulk of what I'm buying each month are income ETFs. That being said, if you don't want to buy specific, oh, my phone is listening in on me. Sneaky. Okay. That's what Google does, I guess. So instead, if you don't want to buy income ETFs that pay you once, specifically designed to pay you once a month or once a week, you can actually buy real companies that actually produce goods and services and set up a specific calendar so that way the dividends that they pay you, even though they pay you once a quarter, you could set it up to where you get paid once a week. And I'm going to show you how you can do that. So it's really researching companies, and this isn't all inclusive. There are probably at least 100 or 200 companies where you can do this. I'm going to give you a dozen to cover a whole calendar year as an example of what I mean. So when you do your research, you want to look at the dates that they pay you. So look for companies, one, that you actually like. You have to at least like the companies, or else why would you want to buy them? So fundamentally, as long as nothing has changed about why we want to own these companies, first take a look at what week of the month do they pay you. Include in your portfolio stocks that'll pay you in the first week in the month. And then stocks in the portfolio that'll pay you in the second week of the month, usually then in the third week, and then the fourth week, and then the fifth week of the month. So some of the ones, a couple of the ones, again, these are examples. Walmart, they usually pay in the first of the month, or not specifically the first, usually within the first week of the month. Kimberly-Clark, they make toilet paper and tissue paper, so we probably Kleenex. So we've heard of that company. You know, they're probably not going to get it. Walmart and Kimberly-Clark are not going to get out of business anytime soon. So I could go to sleep at night knowing that they're not going to go bankrupt, and they're going to pay me. They're going to pay me the first week of the month. Second week of the month, AT&T. I used to work for AT&T. I used to have shares of that. I mean, I don't own shares of AT&T, but their dividend, at least knock on wood, pretty stable. They pay about a 6% dividend, which is a pretty good percentage. They pay usually in the second week of the month, once a quarter. The Blackstone Group, really large investment firm, so they pay usually in the second week of the month. Third week of the month, Pfizer, huge pharmaceutical company. So one of the most popular products they make is like Viagra and all sorts of other pharmaceuticals. Johnson & Johnson, you got a cold, they probably have made some pharmaceuticals for you to get cold, or baby products, all sorts of household products Johnson & Johnson makes. They pay on the third week. If you want to cover the fourth week of the month getting paid, can't go wrong with Apple. I mean, their dividend percentage is small, but they pay at least, I think, a couple of bucks per share. So the biggest benefit with Apple, though, since they are the largest company in the world, one of the largest, top 3 largest companies in the world, is that you get the benefit of income and you get the benefit of the share price growing up as well. So income and growth. That's why Apple is, and I have a large holding of Apple. It's one of my favorites. Caterpillar, industrial machinery. So they make the huge, big construction machines that we probably see at construction sites or road sites. So whether it's big dump trucks or things that push dirt around or lift things that probably made by Caterpillar. And that is an industrial company where a lot of businesses and countries buy products from Caterpillar. And then the fifth week of the month, if they're in the fifth, going into the fifth week, because a lot of our months do, Cisco Systems, they make like networking equipment. Since we are an AI and internet society, they make a lot of those. Simon Property Group. So this is a real estate investment trust. Generally, REITs or real estate investment trusts have a pretty high dividend. So they own a lot of different types of properties, whether it's, I think most of them are commercial retail. I think probably example of Simon Property, I think they own the Avenues Mall, so is one. Other stocks that can add to those weeks, Altria Group. That is one of the first stocks I bought, probably one of the top 3 or 4 stocks I bought when I was still in school, a young lad. Basically, the story behind why I bought Altria was that when the first stock I ever bought was Microsoft, and that had grown over time. And when Microsoft paid its very first dividend, it was just a special dividend because they had such a good year and they wanted to reward the shareholders. So long story short, around December of one year in the 2000s, I got, and I was still in school. I bought my first shares of Microsoft just with my part-time job, night job money. I still own those shares, by the way. I never sold them, but with the free money that I got from Microsoft, as tempted as I was to buy an Xbox, I did not. And I decided to research, well, what company has generated the most dividend reinvested over time? And this name kept on coming up quite a bit, Altria Corporation. I'm sure you guys never heard of it. You've probably heard of the products that they made back then. It was a very large umbrella corporation. The 2 biggest selling products of Altria at that time were Kraft macaroni and cheese and Marlboro cigarettes. Huge company, very different. So over time, Altria eventually decided to divest itself of its food business, which became Kraft Corporation. And so I got free shares of Kraft. Kraft eventually got bought out by Mondelez, another company. So I got shares of that company too. And then Altria split its stock, cigarette operation, into Altria Corporation for the domestic cigarette business. And they issued new shares in a brand new company called Philip Morris International for their international cigarette business, which is a much larger market for smokers than the United States is at, because less and less people in the United States smoke. But people in Asia and Europe smoke all the time. Huge market for smokers there. That's why they split up that business. So you could actually set it up to get paid every single week of the year. It is very exciting. I love getting paid every single week. Now, here's the months, at least last the interwebs educated me on. So Kimberly-Clark. So I think Kimberly-Clark, I think Blackstone were the week ones. So then every single week, and then you can cover, here how we can cover every single month. Kimberly-Clark, January, April, July, October. These are all quarterly payments. Blackstone, there we go, February, May, August, and November. AT&T, February, May, August, and November, but a different week. Pfizer, March, June, September, and December. So we're getting some of the middle months now. What about the rest of the months? Well, here's Johnson & Johnson. They pay in the middle of the year. March, June, September, and December. Apple, probably my favorite out of all of them. February, May, August, and November. Caterpillar, also February, May, August, November. Cisco, we got the traditional beginnings of the quarters, January, April, July, and October. And then Simon, theirs is going to be in the middle, March, June, September, and December. Altria is January, April, July, and October. And same with WP Carey, January, April, July, and October. So we actually have covered all 12 months and all 5 weeks of each month, which is pretty neat. So again, this is stuff you don't learn in school, which is why I like sharing this stuff. Yeah, you can conceivably pay yourself every single week. Now, if you don't need the money, what I do, actually still do now, is I don't take any of that cash. I actually reinvest 100% of all the dividend cash I get every week back into buying more dividend paying shares. But I actually have like a calendar on my device that I've set up to say, well, the payments that I get, so we're in week 4, whatever I get paid on Friday of this week from my stocks and ETFs, I'm going to buy shares of the ones that'll pay me in week 1. And then when I get paid in the first week on that Friday, I'm going to take that cash and buy those shares that are going to pay me in week 2. The reason why I do that and so forth, I'll take my week 2 cash and buy those shares that'll pay me in week 3. Because what that does is it increases the amount of shares in the next week that I'm going to get paid on the following Friday. So I'm going to buy those shares right before they pay me, but when they do pay me, it's going to pay me more than they did the week 3 of the following month, of the previous month. So whatever I got paid in week 3 the last month should be less than what I'm going to get paid in week 3 the next month, because the week 2 of this month, I'm going to be buying more shares of my week 3 stocks. And I've been doing that for quite a while now. So eventually, I'm going to be living off of those, which is why I keep on buying more of those shares now. So that way down the road, that can eventually replace my income, which is ideally what we all want to do, is live off of passive income. That way we can control what we want to do with our time. So that's what I mean by wealth and financial freedom, is not necessarily just being rich and getting a high income. It's choosing what you want to do with your time. If I want to sleep in, I'm not bound by an 8 to 5, schedule. I can do that because I have the financial freedom to do so, because I'm generating that income. But the key is you actually have to start putting these building blocks together to be able to do that. And the earlier you start, you can set it up. But by reinvesting the dividends, you do that snowball effect. And this is something that almost all my students learn from me, is that power of compounding. So the more you compound, the early you start, it becomes a lot more dramatic a little further down the road. Yeah.
So I came, I think, the first time last year, and you had basically told me that so I think I was about $26 a month. But then you said something about compounding, instead of doing like $26 one time, but it's like 13. And then
because the more frequent,
yeah,
it accelerates the growth.
Right. And I'm like, it really worked, as far as like, instead of just the one, it's been doing it on both, but it's still putting in the same amount. And I was like, that's actually.
Yeah, because it grew, which is why, and again, people may put in their once a month, and it's totally great, or once a quarter, but the reason why I do it weekly is because I want to accelerate my compounding a lot faster than normal, just because, again, I don't want to work till I'm 70. My dad retired at 55 when he worked for the JA for 20 years, so he got his city pension fund. That's awesome. But 55 is relatively young to still enjoy yourself. So my goal is to try to beat him.
At what age?
It might be pretty close. It might be like 53, 54. So
How year you won?
Yeah. I mean, I will win regardless if I'm able to do that. So yeah, because I already got my tickets bought. I got like shelter booked. Yeah, I'm leaving as of July 1st out of the country. So
to live permanently?
To live somewhere abroad permanently, yeah. So, well, the first few months, I'm going to be doing some house sitting, staying at some other teachers' houses to save my shelter costs. I'll be in France, Spain, Wales, and England this summer till November. And then I'm taking a transatlantic boat, because it's a good deal, from Spain to Florida to spend Thanksgiving here. And then after the holidays, fly to Asia, maybe spend a month in Cambodia, a month in Vietnam. That's where I'm really going to save money. A month in Malaysia, so forth. I'm going to spend a week in Manila to visit my dad. I'm going to visit my dad.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I'm going to go travel and and I'll have so much material for a YouTube channel, so I'm gonna hopefully,
Already.
I'm definitely gonna have, YouTube content just to show you guys what I do. And, then after that, at least the goal for now, which could change at any time, is to, apply for my visa to live in Portugal. Because, I'm gonna make Portugal, hopefully a home base where I could travel to a whole bunch of different countries very easily, and Africa, since Africa is really like a half-hour boat ride from the coast of Portugal. And Portugal is the closest European country to the States. So it's a much shorter flight, 5 to 6 hours to the United States if I need to fly to the United States from Portugal. And I've been there the last 2 summers and I love it. I didn't want to leave, but that's that's been the goal for a while. And I've been teaching myself Portuguese for the last 3 years. So but that's the plan for now. So I actually joined Trusted House Sitters, so I'll be house sitting in Wales and England this summer, which is great because it's free room and board. You just have to take care of someone's home and their dogs and cats. It's a great way to pay for housing and or to have housing paid for you by just simply just chilling at someone's house. Right?
How
Yeah.
frugal would you say you are? Like, do you guys?
Oh, I'm super frugal. I proudly am one of the cheapest people I have, but then I live comfortably. I don't pride myself, but I'm very smart about how much I put money into money that will make me more money rather than buying things that I may just temporarily use or material things that may hold me back and make me hard to be mobile. That's why I'm selling, most of my collectibles and stuff. But yeah, I drive a 2010 Honda Hybrid, which gets me 50 miles a gallon. So, and it runs great, so it saves me on gas. I cook at home a lot. Oh, I've owned that one for 13 years.
Okay.
So
That old when you first got it.
no, going 2 years old when I got it used. I paid off my mortgage last December, so I'm a little free. I never carry a balance on my credit card. I always pay off each month, so I hate paying interest. I love earning interest, but I hate paying interest. Let's see. I cook at home as much as I can. I'd love to eat out. Don't get me wrong, but it can amaze you how much you can save. And I've typed this on a lot of folks' personal finance papers and a couple of classes too. How much you could save cooking at home versus eating out. And I mean, I definitely still live out. Matter of fact, it was my birthday last month, and I printed out about this thick of sheets of birthday coupons. So I was able to eat out for free for a whole month. And so there's so many free birthday deals. Like I got like 2 gallons of free ice cream from Lindsay in Publix, for example, or went to the Chart House and ate appetizers for free there. I mean, for the price of free.
It's free stuff.
Yeah, it's like I went to PF Chang's last Friday, using one of my birthday things, and got a free appetizer. And I had a gift card too, so that kind of paid for the meal part. But they got my appetizer wrong, so they gave me 2 appetizers for my birthday coupon. So basically, I got like chicken fried rice, 2 popcorn chicken appetizers, and a Coke Zero, and the total amount I paid was $7. So yeah, I look for deals all the time, whether it's buy one get one frees or free stuff or discounted. I don't care about fashion, so I buy stuff that's functional with pockets or can be used in a lot of different scenarios, whether it's dress or yeah. So yeah, I try to invest as much as I can, so that way then I can fall out when I'm still physically able, versus like a lot of folks that wait till like their 60s and 70s and have mobility problems. So I don't want to do that. My mom and dad, who traveled around the world, while they left me at home, basically said, travel while you're young. And I always took that to heart. I said, all right, Mom, I will do that.
Here's another thing.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a gap in employment?
No, actually.
Always heard.
Yes, yeah. So it also shows that you, even with a regular job type salary, you can achieve financial freedom. You don't have to necessarily be wealthy. You just have to be really smart about how you spend money. And really, it's the key is starting as early as possible. So I was lucky that, thank goodness that my mom got me in interested in investing in stock when I was still in school. And so even when I was working part-time at night, I would put that money and start investing in stock. Not all of those stocks were great, as I learned. I paid a lot of tuition when I was young and what to buy and what not to buy until I started learning a little bit more. But it's paid off. And the investments have grown, and now I'm going to start enjoying, hopefully soon, what those investments have grown up into.
So whenever you left the job, though, you already had the next job lined up.
Generally, yeah. So, or worked like a lot of side gigs in between. Like there was one point, maybe it must have been about 10, 15 years ago, where I had like 5 side gigs at the same time, which was great. So, but then it helped me transition to the next one because I was work part. But then it was short. It wasn't that long. So it was like within a year where I was like still working before I got the next full-time gig. So it's like I'm the only person I know that has 4 pensions because I only stayed there. I stayed there long enough to actually vest. So I had the Diocese of St. Augustine, I had 18 City of Jacksonville, and then I actually invested here with college with the state pension. So
You do not recommend unemployment.
I've never had to collect it.
Well, no, well, I mean, just you not being employed in general.
Yeah, well, that's just because, like everyone, I had to make sure I would get my bill paid. I didn't want to have to like live on credit and stuff. So I was willing to do what I could to generate at least some income, whether it's testing contact lenses or tutoring or side teaching and stuff like that. One of my fun new side gigs over the past year is hosting trivia. So I write and host trivia, and that's probably one of the most fun ones, and it pays pretty well actually. And I invest 100% of that money into investing, or like I did a couple of workshops for the Florida Council on Economic Education, and got a check in the mail yesterday for a workshop I did on cryptocurrency. So it was $250, but I'm going to cash that today and invest it into some stock. Yeah.
So you're saying like wealth mindset is not necessarily obtaining more, but being able to choose what to do with your time.
Yes, choose what to do with your time because there are, and I used to teach financial literacy to like the women's shelter downtown, the part-time job, and which used to be called Family Counseling Services, which was Family Foundation that changed their name. And a lot of their clients were folks that did not have to could not manage their finances. They were like 6-figure households, folks that made 6 figures in a household. You would think that's a comfortable amount, even living in Jacksonville, but they just were not spending their money wisely, so they had to get credit counseling, which was the other side of the house. You can have households that make a lot less, but then can achieve wealth just because of how they spend, how they prioritize, having money work for you. And that's one of the mindsets that wealthier people have versus non-wealthy people is how they view money. Because there's some, and I did a workshop with Dr. Gwynn, the finance and romance workshops that they had here at the campuses, where money is, where a lot of people, many Americans have a scarcity mindset. The money is scarce. We got to save it. We got to make sure we have enough, and that's very important. That's to be able to do that. But one thing that distinguishes wealthy individuals, which is why I like to study them, is that they have a different mindset when it comes to money. They save it, but they try to figure out ways to have the money work for them rather than you working for the money. Because if you think about it, when you work that night, oh yeah. Instead of you working for the money, have the money work for you.
Okay.
And that's what a different mindset is. So when you work a job, when I work a job, basically you're trading your time for money, right? And then you go spend the money and buy your cars and clothes, or, I like watches. It's the only piece of jewelry I wear. But you were exchanging that time for money. But what is our most valuable resource? It's time. It's something we can't get back. It's studying something we can't buy back. It's something that we lose every single second. So how do we buy back our time to where we can choose to spend that time? Well, we have to be able to take care of that income. So instead of exchanging our time for income, which is what we do in a job, when we get that money, start exchanging that money for time. So what I do is as much dollars I can, which excluding the stuff I have to do to pay my bills, shelter, food, which pretty much shelter, food, and gas, which is why I'm going to be so happy not to own a car pretty soon. I exchange as much cash as I can to buy back my time through investing.
Through like dividend account.
Yes, yeah, like my dividend stocks, for example.
You get those through the bank or you need like a certain?
I have different brokerages. I have a Robinhood account, I got a Webull account, I got a Schwab account, I got a Tasty Trade account.
You live with Robinhood?
Yeah,
Because.
actually, one of the reasons why I liked Robinhood is that it lets you buy partial shares. So even if these shares are expensive, like Apple, not a cheap stock, it's like probably over $200 a share. You can buy pieces of them. And this is actually what I do with, at least for right now, my Meta and my Netflix shares. Meta's probably close to 1,000 a share. And, oh no, Meta's probably close to 800 a share, 700 a share. Netflix is close to 1,000 a share, but I don't have to buy whole shares of them. I'm buying $100 a month of Meta, $100 a month of Netflix, and I'm buying pieces of them. Eventually those pieces are going to become whole shares. And then those pieces are going to grow. And so, just like with the dividends, every time I get paid dividends each week, I'm going to buy shares, but then that value is going to grow and compound, power of compounding. So I'm trying to buy back my time every single week. The more time I buy back, the more time I can spend traveling or going to Disney, whatever.
What percentage you, like, from your house and your car, like, what percentage you save and what percentage you do in debt?
What would I do? Actually, I haven't calculated. I think it's been years since I calculated. I think it was like a third or more for me. But not everyone can do that because they have various bills. The key is really just to start, even if it's $5, $10. The sooner you start, as you get raises, especially if you are early in your career, instead of doing something called lifestyle creep, and this is what gets a lot of households in trouble. Anybody ever heard of lifestyle creep?
No.
What lifestyle creep is, every time as you move through your career, you get maybe cost of living increases. You may get raises, you may get bonuses, and people live it up. They go, well, I can afford a better car. I can move into their house. The thing is, why? If you were comfortable already living off the same level of income as you were, all that money that you are now more making, make it work for you. That's the way I think. Most of my friends do not think that way, especially with, I have a best friend, we've been best friends since kindergarten. And every single week, you would go out and just live it up at the bars. It's like, I can't fathom, how much are you paying for drinks? I mean, I could buy this, again, this is just only how my mind was, I could buy this many shares with the amount you spent on your drink. So, yeah, there's just so many different ways that I think differently. And it's not that I'm like living such a boring and deprived life. I think my life's pretty comfortable. I'm just taking care of all the stuff that'll burden me, like my home's paid off, my car's paid. I pretty much have no debt. So, especially now that the house is paid off. When I sell the house, I'm going to use that money I get from the house. I'm going to put, this much into investments. I actually have it by percentage of which stocks I'm going to buy, and then 50,000 I'm going to stick in money market funds, and that's going to generate just a nominal 5%, and that'll be emergency cash.
That's like the S&P 500.
The S&P, no, money market is a place to park your money if you think you might need it within the next 12 months. Money markets generate a low interest that may or may not beat inflation. The key is you always want to beat inflation, unless you're just saving it just for emergency. So my emergency cash, I actually have two ETFs that are earning about 5% that are in like treasury bills. So, but it's an ETF, and that's my emergency cash. So it's earning about 5 to 6%, which is still better than a bank account. And then I'll have just cash. And then, but then the bulk of my investments are in actual investments. But I also trade options too, but that's a whole big other complication. So
for example, like, you're saying make the dollars work, right? So it's like, for example, like a savings account,
mhm.
like how much should, I don't know if it should be a percentage or a specific number should be in that versus like how much, like instead of just having.
Well, the rule of thumb, the textbook rule of thumb anyway, is what's in a savings or money market should at least cover your expenses for 2 to 6 months in case you lose your job or something. So,
And that's like,
but the thing is, you don't have to put that 2 to 6 months all at once, build up to it. So eventually if you put a fixed line item in your budget to stick it into your savings account that said this is going to be going towards emergency, eventually you'll have 1 month saved. And then over the next 3 weeks, you'll have 2 months saved. As long as you hadn't touched that emergency money, especially, and psychologically, you're less likely to touch because you knew how much of a sacrifice it took to get to that point to save 2 months worth of your salary. And then after you've comfortably put where you want emergencies, if you have excess that you don't need to live off of, then you can start investing.
okay, so get the emergency first.
Yeah.
before this.
Yeah, well, actually, you could probably split it if you put some in the emergency, some investing at the same time. You could split them up. That'd be ideal. That way you aren't sacrificing one for the other and you're putting money in both. If you have the budget to do that. I do both. I'll transfer, once I get paid, I'll transfer it, because I get paid in my checking account, I'll transfer a certain amount into my savings to pay bills or emergency, whatever. And then I'll put a certain amount to buy stocks, but it's been less and less where I've needed to budget for investments because the investment income I'm generating each month is really pretty much paying for itself at this point. It's been a point where I only have to budget $200 a month to buy stock now because the income I get each week is enough to buy itself every single week. But again, the early you start, the more you can do that.
That's really interesting because you were saying that you purchased your house. Did you ever have to like save for closing costs, or did you already have things like closing costs?
Oh, well, actually, I actually, thanks to investing, I sold all of my AT&T stock to put a down payment on my house. I bought a condo in San Marco, which is the first place I bought it when I was still young. So I've never rented, I've just owned. So I bought a condo.
Did you show investment to cover those costs?
Yeah, I sold all my AT&T stocks to help buy my condo. Fortunately, my condo in San Marco, it was like 76,000. So it was a 2-bedroom condo. I bought it. It was nice. It was like on the St. John's. Flooded all the time, so I had to sell it. But sold it for about 3 times what I paid for it. Used that money to put the down payment on this house. Originally got a 30-year mortgage, but when the Great Recession happened in 2008 and interest rates plummeted to try to get out of recession, I refinanced my 30-year mortgage to a 15-year mortgage. It doubled the mortgage payment, but I saved almost $100,000 in interest. Yeah, so I just thought ahead. I go, yeah, I know it's going to be painful to pay more per month, but because of the fact I paid down the mortgage so quickly, I got it to the point where, as of last December, those $6,000 left owed on the house. I go, well, I'm trying to sell the house. Might as well just pay it off now. And so I worked extra side gigs to help generate more cash, paid off the mortgage in December. Now I'm own the house free and clear. And now I'm trying to sell it for as much profit as I can. So, but again, it took decades to build to that point. But I started early, started out small. So where all my friends are going out on dates and partying and stuff. I was just investing.
Now, where are they now?
Probably out drinking or divorced or owing, a lot either on debt or student loans, mortgages and stuff like that.
You pay taxes on all that interest you earn though.
I sure do. Yeah, which is why I hate paying taxes every year. I usually wait till the last couple of weeks because I have no incentive to pay my taxes early because I know I'm not getting a refund. But look at it this way. If you get a refund, that means that the government got to use your money for 12 months with zero interest paid to you. You're giving the government the right to use your cash interest-free for an entire year. I don't like to do that. I'd rather spend the money the way I want to spend it and then pay the government when I pay my taxes. So
So.
no one thinks of a refund like that, but I do.
Yeah. Wait, so.
I'd rather use the money during the year and invest it because I can earn a better rate of return than having enough taken out for my investments during the year and paying the government, which won't give you any interest for that during the year. So if I pay taxes, that means I earned money that year. And so that's why I look at it, I go, oh, okay, I had a good year. I paid money. So I'll have to pay the taxes. But fortunately, living off of my dividends, hopefully will put me in a lower tax bracket, so I won't have to pay as much. And there is which I don't know if it ever will pass, there is a proposal put out there last week by the Trump administration where they want to propose having a 0% tax rate for households making $150,000 or less. So. It's good for those. It's good for those that don't make $150,000 a year.
That's including whatever.
Yeah.
Next year.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know if Congress passed that, but they may propose it. I would. Well, the thing is about close to and I just saw this on NPR last week. Two-thirds, about 67% of the taxes paid. Let me just put it this way. The amount of income taxes, that's where the federal government gets most of the money it needs to operate. All of its departments, education, interior, defense, so forth. So the IRS, that all gets paid by taxpayer dollars. About 2/3 of the taxes paid are paid by the top 5% income earners in the United States.
Oh.
So the bulk of the taxes are not paid by regular folks like us because most of us get refunds and that's the way the code is written. It's written so that way you pay it. If you read the code and follow the legal code as it stands, you shouldn't have to pay as much taxes if you're just a regular income earner as most folks. So if they pass $150,000 cap on the amount of income paid, then that'll take away potentially maybe a third of the income coming in the United States, and they have to make that up somehow.
Oh.
So that now, even though 2/3 of it is still going to be paid by the biggest income earners, it's still a third of tax revenue that they have to figure out. Either they just cut expenses on what the government spends, and maybe a combination of figuring out, another source of revenue, whether it's tariffs or taxes, other types of taxes like a flat tax or something, or consumption tax. That's what they have in Europe. They have a consumption tax. So which is also why income tax, doing your taxes in Europe or England is so much easier. You just sign a postcard and say, okay, this is what you say. Oh, okay, that's fine. It's not like where I have to spend a couple of days to do my taxes. It's very burdensome. Yeah.
Normally employees, they pay taxes, when they get paid, like taxes are automatically taken out. Then we go to the grocery store, we pay taxes on like all products and services.
Mm-hmm. Sales taxes.
Also pay taxes.
They do. They pay corporate taxes.
Triple and, quadruple.
Yes. If you've ever taken an accounting class here at FSCJ, there's a concept called double taxation. where the income earned by the corporate business is paid a corporate income tax. And then when they distribute income to the owners of the business, AKA the shareholders, like you and me who own shares of stock, that get taxed at your personal tax rate. So you get taxed twice.
And then when they go to buy stuff.
And then consumption sales taxes is another tax. Yes. So you have consumption tax, you have income tax, and then depending on what state you are, fortunately Florida's not one of them, you have a state income tax. If you live in other burdensome states like say New York, New Jersey, Illinois, California, you'll have state and local taxes as well on top of that. So there are instances around the country where if you are a resident of certain of those states, your income tax rate is more than 50% of your income. If you add all the taxes together. Yeah, so yeah. So I'm moving. Yeah, one of the reasons why, plus I'm really not big on tipflation either. That's an American custom. You don't see tipflation in other countries, and I've been to double-digit amount of countries. That means yes, here in the United States, where you're talking about 18, 25, 35%.
Yeah.
In some cases, tips. Whereas in some countries there is no tip. What you see on the menu price is what you pay.
Yeah, tropical smoothies are at the tip. I'm like,
Mhm.
Yeah, everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah.
So when
I saw 2 news stories on that yesterday.
you used to get income, or if you ever got a refund, what did you do with it?
Oh, I just invested it.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I actually got a refund maybe 3 or 4 years ago. It was very, very small. Ideally, I like to get my taxes to even where I barely owe or barely receive.
Okay.
Kind of even is like the best for me, but if I have to pay a little bit or receive a little bit, that's as close to ideal.
Okay.
you have somebody help you with your taxes or you do it?
Oh, no, I always do it myself. They're way too complicated.
Yeah.
And plus I'm cheap because I don't want to pay someone to do it. I've been paying just TaxAct to do it online. So, I mean, taxes, by the way, is also a legal type, I wouldn't say racket, but in the United States, because really, if you think about it, all the employers, all of the business, when they submit the 1099s and all that, they submit it all to the IRS. The IRS actually knows exactly how much you owe. They have all the forms, but they still make you do it. Other countries got wise and they said, well, yeah, but we're just gonna tell you what you owe, and that's it. That's why it's the United States tax code is so long, I don't think anyone's actually read it. But it's designed that way to make all these different things as incentives for different things. As, for example, incentives to help low-income households with the earned income tax credit, which not all households actually think to take advantage of, or incentives for businesses to purchase more equipment, which is why they have depreciation. So there's a lot of different things built into the code to incentivize different types of groups that other countries, they don't write into their tax code. Yeah.
You get a credit for going to school?
Oh, for me? Well, I can take professional development.
If you don't really get credit for going to school?
Oh, you get a credit for paying tuition. There is a tax credit for paying tuition. Again, I'm not a tax preparer, but I know that when I was still paying tuition or part of my graduate tuition, I would deduct that off of my taxes. Yeah, you can deduct your tuition. Well, we are just 3 minutes over, but time went by great. We had a lot of great discussion, and I will make sure, as long as I got your email, to email you the handouts if you didn't get them. And I look forward to seeing you next month. And extra credit, yes. Yeah. So it's usually, 20 points extra credit is usually what I get. Yeah, which is like the same as a homework. So yeah, it's pretty good chunk for coming. All right. Well, I will see you guys. Thanks for all of you that have been here. Thanks, Melody.